Man City 3, Manchester United 1. I mean, even when United are 1-0, it's the inevitability, isn't it? But if you ever wanted to see a slapping on paper, 73% possession, over 3 XG, 27 shots, 10 inside the box, 8 on target, 4 big chances, missed 3 of them. Haaland could have had a lot more.
The miss at the end of the first half. I screamed. She was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Yeah, you need to see this."
Too easy. In the end,
it's not easy when you're. And again, I said last week,
they have the patience to see it out
and the experience. They don't panic, do they?
Nah.
They're absolute kings of that. And actually, last week I said I kind of defend them because a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, it's boring watching City." Watching Manchester City try and chase a game is one of the most exciting things. They played the whole game at such a high tempo. It was remarkable that United were surviving as long as they were, and I don't think it was through particular skill because City were creating massively. United would having this system with Casemiro and Mino, would were basically trying to man mark De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. But as soon as it split, you got John Stones, a different position again this week, kids, appearing out of centre-back and just going straight through the middle of them and just pinning them back. Way too good. Phil Foden is extraordinary. What a player. It's always been there. And did you see Pep's comments after the game?
No, was that when he was talking about him being world class or whatever?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I read the quote. Yeah. He basically said player of the season. And he said the major difference now as well is that he is winning us games. If you look at his starts this season, he started sort of 90% plus in the games this season. You look across, the last 6, it's 90 minutes. In fact, looking back to the defeat at Villa in game week 15, he's played 90 minutes in all but one Premier League game. He played 45 minutes against Bournemouth in game week 11, 66 minutes against West Ham in game week 5. There was 4 minutes at Sheffield United in game week 3. This is not a minutes problem with him anymore. Now, could it become one? Well, of course, because they've got Champions League coming up. They might have good fixtures around an FA Cup semi-final, possibly. But right now, irrespective of where it is, he's got to play. Like, there is 0% chance that he doesn't start at Liverpool this weekend. Yeah, and I'm not saying people buy him this week, obviously.
It's all whilst the title race is on, right? If they go on a tear up, Liverpool fall away, they end up 7-8 points clear or something, which none of us see happening, right? Then maybe he gets rested. But whilst they need to win games, which they do because they're behind. Well, no,
I think even, if you've got high intensity Champions League games and stuff, he's obviously gonna play like Champions League quarterfinals and semi-finals if they get that far, right? He's obviously going to play in them games because it's too important to him. So that in itself will make him a risk in the league.
Like, there's league games that are harder than some of those games sometimes.
He's also young still. What does Pep always say about Haaland? He's like, is there too many games he need a rest? He's like, he's young. He's fine. Now Foden gets through more work. You know what his involvement, we'll know this from the Sky Pods, his involvement in terms of his touches on the ball. It's extraordinary how much of the ball he's seeing even when he's playing in a wide role. And he's ended up playing in this game. He's played wide on the right, and United shoved things about, and they put the young boy on at right back. And with Bernardo on the left, it's not comfortable. You could even see he wanted Foden to be going down that side at Lindelof. And he didn't want to move him. So when Guardiola took Doku on, remind me to come back to Doku. When he took Doku off, he moved Bernardo Silva to the left and left Foden on the right because he wanted Foden to keep tearing Lindelof apart. And you could see Bernardo Silva was a bit like me to the left because it would always be Bernardo then to the right. If Bernardo's going to go wide, he'll go on the right. Foden will go either side. Yeah. He wasn't moving Foden because he was doing too much to Lindelof. When United switched it up, and then obviously moved Dalot to the left and brought the young boy on Cambuala on at right back straight away. Yep, you to the left now. Bernardo back to the right. Go and kill this kid instead. And just phenomenal. So even he just move position mid-game as well and still have the absolute deciding factor in it. Brilliant. Stunning performance. To the extent now as well, I think if we were looking at it now, Foden and De Bruyne, let's just say they had really good fixtures now. If Foden and De Bruyne were the same price, which one would you buy?
Foden.
I think it's there now, yeah.
Yeah, I'd buy Foden.
I think so.
I'd buy Foden.
Yeah. Which is why, again,
if they were the same price of Foden, I'd buy both.
So how am I benching this kid this week?
I have no idea, because there's quite a few people in the questions on Twitter that are like, should I bench Foden or... And then you've got the likes of Cole Palmer.
It is completely nonsensical if I'm in a position of benching someone that good to be going, I'm going to take a -4 for Ross Barkley.
Yeah, no.
No.
I'd rather play Foden with Liverpool.
No. Do you think that's the right one to bench? Bailey at home to Tottenham, Bowen at home to Burnley, Son at Villa. I'm obviously not benching Saka.
Bailey at home to Tottenham.
Son at Villa in the same game, Bowen at home to Burnley.
Son's at home, you play Son.
Son, it's at Villa.
Oh, it's at Villa.
But think of Villa on the high line, man.
Who was the third one there?
Bailey at home to Tottenham as well.
And Foden. So it's two
Yeah, I'm not benching Bowen at home to Burnley either.
Yeah, and don't bench Saka.
No, definitely not. So it's Bailey, Foden, Son.
I'd bench...
Take a -4 for Marcus Tavernier.
I'd bench Bailey, I think.
If
it was me, I'd probably bench Bailey.
It's not. It can't.
It's brutal.
It can't be Son, can it? Really?
It's brutal. No, I wouldn't bench Son. It'd be Bailey or Foden, but it's very narrow.
Yeah, and I also know what happens if I bench Bailey.
Good.
Double destroys me, my team, and the bench. I think Doku is having a really negative effect on Haaland. I haven't looked at anything statistically to back that up. I think, and I like Jeremy Doku, right? He's lively as all that chopping and stuff. But sometimes you do think, hit the line and cross it, mate. I think he's beginning to piss Haaland off. Because Haaland is best in the game at movement. And there was times yesterday, Doku had it, and the cross did come, and Haaland hasn't moved, And I think he's getting frustrated. He's thinking, I don't know if it's coming.
Yeah.
Keep making all these check movements and stuff. And he's like, I don't know what this kid's going to do. And I think that's possibly having a little bit of a negative impact on him. It's just a small point to make. Not that I dislike Doku, not that I think he's a bad player. I think he's a very good player, very talented. But I think he's got to work on his end product. Rodri. We will overlook this again when we get into more doubles for Manchester City and more good fixtures later in the season, even though we know he's the most likely to score twice and we know that he gets returns in the more important games for City,
not score twice.
And comes up clutch, we play once, he'll probably return. We will completely overlook him again. I said a number of weeks ago, I don't hate it if people go for Rodri. What's his returns over like the last 4 or 5, Serge?
Well, look, over the season, it's 6 goals, 6 assists. It's all right. But 10, 3, 3, 10, 3,
6 goals, 6 assists for the holding midfield
10,
player.
10. He's every now and then. But when he picks up a goal or an assist, it's usually double-digit returns.
There's that, yeah. He was phenomenal yesterday as well. And by the way, my comments aren't to say Kevin De Bruyne was bad yesterday. He wasn't. I just think as well as we get later in the season, like De Bruyne is definitely not playing quarter-final, game week, FA Cup semi-final. He's not. They're going to protect him more. Foden could play a lot of it. Brilliant victory. For Manchester United, just briefly, they played with Fernandes and McTominay essentially kind of both as false nines, which was designed to shield the ball and into City's eights and obviously shield Rodri. The problem was Rodri just dropped off a bit deeper and then John Stones went and filled in that space and he just kept drifting in behind them all game, and that's how... When City were in their defensive phase, it was so easy for them to build the attacks. I don't know what... In fact, I do know, because I think I saw it. Field tilt is one of Clayton's favourite stats. I think it was about 90% for City, which is staggering, by the way. So just dominance. Unbelievable. What a goal from Rashford. We have to credit it. But I'm not going to credit much else about the performance. And yes, United did have City a little bit worried with the odd counter-attack early in the game. But City were just so dominant. I don't think you'll be investing in a Manchester United player this week, despite the fact it's Everton at home and Bournemouth away in 30 isn't terrible. I think, shout out for Nana briefly, by the way, because he made some good saves. And I know they mentioned on commentary that actually he's best for preventing shots against XG this season, which might surprise. It feels like
shots or goals?
preventing goals, sorry. Against...
Can't be. Ariola's got to be above him.
No, it's Onana, mate.
Mad.
It's Onana. But it's a specific one that he's having problems with, and it's like that Foden's second goal. I feel like if it's further from his body, he saves it. Those ones that are a bit closer, he's struggling to get down. For one reason, if you look at a lot of his mistakes, they're quite close to his body.
Maybe he needs to do the David Brent dance.
Also...
Get Ricky Gervais to give him training. Go on, do it. Mate.
What?
Ricky Gervais. Go on. There you go.
Do I need to do head as well?
No.
He went down with a problem with about 25 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And I think it looked like one of them clear time wasting ploys. It was like he got the ball in his arms, he went down, he felt up as if I got cramp. He was feeling the back of his hamstring. And I think most people thought I time wasting here because City are the tempo's too high. Maybe it was, but after we did it, there was a huge reluctance to kick the ball long. Massive. And City realised it. The thing with this United team is he's their best passer at the back. Bruno Fernandes, obviously. But in terms of distribution defensively, he's their best passer. And it's why they go long so often. Because he's going short. And he's honestly, whichever centre-back he gives it to while Martinez ain't there, he's a worse passer than him. Genuinely. So he might as well go long because he's the better passer. But after he had that injury problem, he never went long once. He tried to play a pass to Kambwala in the right back position where he had to dink it over someone, and he hesitated 2 or 3 times before he even did it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a problem that needs monitoring. He absolutely did not go long at all, and that was part of United's tactic, was to go long. And I think that's part why then he ended up obviously taking off once Rashford went off as well. I know he wasn't great, goal aside, but you did need that threat maintained. And whatever United were bringing onto the pitch essentially was making them weaker as well. Keep an eye on that on Onana. I think Onana's an interesting one for the running for FPL managers, actually.